Hey guys, I'm not really that good at, that charming type of self-promotion, but rate the show. But yeah, this episode is going to be dealing with a guy who was a royal guardsman for the queen. He has some really good energy. I liked a lot of what he had to say. Yeah, I just hope you guys just enjoy this moment in this conversation as much as I did.
Yo, Jackplex, answer the fucking phone, dude.
Hello.
Jack.
All right, so obviously I already know that you were a guardsman for the queen. So how does
Yeah.
that work? Like how do you even get that job in the first place?
Well, basically, it's just like standard British soldier. You go into the recruitment office. You've got three desks. You've got Navy, you've got Army, and you've got Royal Air Force. I went to the Navy first because I wanted to be a Marine. Everyone wants to be a Marine. Royal Marines, US Marines, this goes on. I was 16 and I was, best part of 8 stone wet through, but I was also 6'5". So you imagine I was a beanpole. He says, no, you're not going to pass training. Go away, come back in a year's time, eat some food, hit the gym, we'll talk. I thought, well, no, because I really want to join now. So I went in the Army and I spoke to that guy and he says, what do you want to join? I says, I want to be an engineer. I want to get a trade. I want to leave the Army with a trade, have a good life. He says, you've got no qualifications, so you can't join the Royal Engineers. I went, okay, then I want to be a paratrooper. I want to join the parachute regiment, jump out of planes. He went, no, you're far too tall to jump out of planes. That won't work either. I says, well, what can I join? He says, well, I'll get you in the costume guards. And I says, okay then, yeah, I'll do that. Signed up. 2 weeks later, I was a per bride, starting my basic training. However, the guy that signed me up, he was a sergeant in the costume guards. So he gets £200 every time he gets someone recruited. And he was talking, pardon my French, he was talking bullshit because I could have joined engineers with no qualifications. I could have joined the powers. It was certain. I didn't actually go there and think, right, I'm going to join the guards. I'm going to protect the Queen. I didn't think that at all. I just wanted to join the Army. I just want to enlist because came from quite an urban area, as you would say. There wasn't much opportunities. It was either sell drugs or go to jail or die or join the Army. In the first three, I wasn't so much of a fan of them. So fourth one, cliche, join the Army. Like they say, if you're young with no qualifications but you're fit, if you're a man or a boy, you'll join the Army. If you're a female, you become a stripper. So yeah, it's very much like that.
And so, it sounds like you had a pretty I guess you could say I wouldn't say an unlucky childhood by any means, but you had like a situation that you just had to get out of, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I left school. I went to college and wasn't really feeling that. And I was just in limbo, just marking time. Wasn't making the best decisions. I was getting in a lot of trouble. Thankfully, not with the police, just getting in trouble, which would have led to being in trouble with the police. And yeah, and I wasn't moving in the right circles.
Do you mind expanding a little bit on like the type of trouble that you were getting into?
Maybe older brother. Yeah, we used to go around and we used to tax drug dealers and take the drugs off them and the money. But it was more than my older brother and his pals. And yeah, that's no good. That's going to end up jail or dead.
When you say taxing, what does that mean?
You'd see them in the streets, you go up to them and you just rob them. Or you go to the house, kick down the door, and you just rob them.
Oh, so do you have like crazy or notable experiences when you would be doing that at that point in time?
Yeah, my brother was a horrible, well, still is a horrible man. I joined the Army and he's 47 now. In over 47 years, he's done about 22 years in jail. And he did some disgusting things.
Of course, we're going to go back to what it's like to be a guardsman, but I find so far as we talk, you're a very talkative person, which is awesome, and you seem very comfortable with, almost as though you might have made peace, sort of, with life that you're in before and where you are now, and you talked a lot about.
Oh yeah, hello, yeah, I've had to. I was young. I put it down to that. Older brother who was in the wrong, very much so in the wrong. He knew exactly what he was doing. So did I suppose, but I just wanted to fit in. So I had no choice really. It was either do what he said or me end up getting stamped all over. So he did that a lot when I was younger. Not anymore though, by the way. But He's out of jail, and he's got drug psychosis. He's addicted to heroin, and he's got it's psychosis. It's bad, man. He can't tell between fact or fantasy. All my family's washed their hands of him, so he's only got me, and I'm down as his full-time carer. But he's a nightmare. So I work full-time. He's ringing us up at 3 o'clock in the mornings. He's got this person banging his door with hammers, and can I come and sort it out for him? And he's my brother. What can I do? He's got no one else. Even though he's a bad bastard, he's not anymore. He's like a zombie. He's on so much medication. It's horrible to see.
And he's on all that medication because was
drug psychosis. He's took so much drugs in the past that he's got schizophrenia. I'm sure you're aware of what that is. He's got multiple personality disorder. It used to be called that, but it's called something else now. Changing names all the time. He's on medication for that, but also he's on a heroin substitute, which he's also taking heroin, which he's telling me that he's not. So yeah, it's a bit of one of them ones. Yeah, so that's quite stressful.
Do you think that he had a addictive traits when he was growing up, or it was more so the drugs that he used?
Oh, hello, yeah. Without a doubt, man. Unfortunately, my brother wasn't blessed with a very high IQ, and that sounds really terrible. He's my brother, and I love him a bit. Even though he's done some terrible things with Sunday Blood, he's not the cleverest, you know what I mean? And because of that, he doesn't make very good decisions. If you mix low intelligence with a lot of drugs, it's not really good combination, is it? And hence the reason why he spent 22 years in jail. But accountability, isn't it? Nobody forced him. It's all on him.
What was his relationship with your parents and your relationship with your parents like at that point in time when you were younger?
My stepdad's... he was a prick. My mother's a bit of a dick and all, actually. Didn't really care. Hated him because he used to burgle the house on the regular, steal the cars, things like that. Got a younger brother, he's 8 years younger. Obviously, he's golden child. So, yeah. We were just like discarded, and they focused on Benjamin, my little brother, who also I love the bits. So yeah, the guardians that I had, I don't even talk to them anymore. Toxic as fuck, man. You know, toxic as in youngest one. He's done very well for him, actually, very, very well. He joined the Royal Marines because at the time I'd left the army, and I since went to France and I joined the Foreign Legion, and I was there. Then he joined the Royal Marines during that time. And he flew by. He did 6 years, did 4 tours of Afghan. That changed him a lot, He went being happy-go-lucky, just being so fucking serious. I've done me tours. I like to think I'm still happy-go-lucky, you know what I mean? But yeah, he went so serious. And then he went to university, did an open university course for 4 years, 5 years actually. He got his master's in physics, and now he's a physicist. And he works for Durham University as deputy head of research and development. He literally makes drones like from scratch. And he's only 30, he's 34. His end goal is to be an astronaut. And I'm not even lying. He probably will do it, you know, because he's very determined. And I'm very proud of him. Very, very proud of him.
So, would you say that you kind of had almost like a parental, like you were the main parental figure growing up for the most part?
No, not at all. No, I wasn't main parental. I was one he looked up to. I wasn't main parental. Like I say, he had his mum, my mum, and he had his father, my stepfather. So he had 2 parents who loved him and nurtured him, and everything he wanted to do, they made sure he did that. Me and the older brother didn't. Yeah, so maybe older brother turned out the guardians I had, and maybe it's the same way I turned out. Because like I say, I could have easily took the red pill instead of the blue pill, you know what I mean? And that red pill could have been a different path. It could have been my brother's path. But instead I went down my path, which I'm very happy that I did. I've had a very varied and very interesting, challenging, but albeit interesting life. And it's going to continue. Also as well, I don't think I've told this. When COVID hit, I lost my job. I used to be an engineer on the railway, and I lost my job because of COVID. Because funny enough, I don't drive. Sounds weird, 42 years old, don't drive. There's a few reasons for that. I'll get them later if you ask us. Yeah, I don't drive, so it was one person per vehicle, and I used to have my own driver. But then when COVID hit, it was one person, so I couldn't get a job, so therefore I got laid off. So I sat around doing nothing, and my ex-girlfriend, she's in the Army Reserves, which is very much like your National Guard. Our version of National Guard is the Army Reserves. And she was saying, well, why don't you get back into that? So I thought, fuck it. So now I'm currently serving in the Army Reserves. So I'm still a soldier, albeit part-time. I work Tuesday nights. Should be that night, actually, but it's a teacher's training day, as it were. So we go online, we do it that way.
The military seems to be kind of like a big thing in your life that's kind of like interwoven between you and your brother, and it seems as though it's been like a big part in just your nuclear family for the most part.
It's literally it's a fact that it's so regimental, it's routine. I love a routine. It's when I left school, I literally joined the army, and that's all. And that literally made us a man. When I was 16, I was an absolute creature. I didn't know how to conduct myself as a human being. I mean, I had, for example, this kind of person I was working at McDonald's. I managed 2 weeks. I was getting paid £3.24, which is like equivalent about $5 an hour. And back when I was like 16, so it wasn't a great deal. I was working in the kitchens. I wasn't allowed in the front because I wasn't trusted with the money. So I was in the kitchen, so none of the customers could see us. And we used to play football with the hamburgers on the tiles, and it was like air hockey. Ting, 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 ting. Oh, it was funny, man. We used to spit on the grill and have spit races. It was disgusting. And it used to be, the gherkins. Back then, used to come like a big barrel, like a plastic barrel. And it was also like all gherkins, like gherkin juice. You used to get like a bucket full, so fill them back up, and that's how we transfer them. But I used to piss in it. I used to piss in it on the regular, man. And I got caught by the manager, and she put us in the office and says, right, you can either leave now or get the police. I says, okay, that's my badge. Shit job anyway. That's the kind of person I was. So I joined the army, and that sort of toned it down a little bit. But actually, no, that's a lie. Actually, I was still a creature. But I just knew how to hide it a little bit more and play the game a little bit better.
And
but unfortunately, I was also a trained soldier who was also a creature. So, yeah.
Once you joined, and you were telling me about how you wanted to be an engineer, and you didn't exactly plan to be a guard for the Queen, but that's kind of just where that path in life ended up taking you. What was it like being around the family, generally speaking?
Right, okay. Just to go back to what you said, I'm a massive believer on fate. And if I'd have joined the Marines or the engineers or the parachute regiment, I don't think I would have enjoyed your experience as much as being a guardsman. And even though I didn't know I wanted to be a guardsman, it sounds really weird and very much, I don't know, a bit out there, but I think I was destined to be a guardsman. I think I was. Well, family-wise, I didn't really take in the gravity of what it is I was doing. You know what I mean? I didn't, the first times when I was at Buckingham Palace, St James's Palace, Windsor Castle, Tower London, that was it.
Once you began to understand the gravity of what it was like to be a guardsman, how did you view the wealth that was around you and just the difference in the atmosphere, if that makes sense?
The atmosphere is very cordial, as you can imagine. Very, very straight-laced, professional to a hilt at all times. The opulence-wise, but obviously it's a royal family. I was expecting that. You know what I mean? I was expecting more. You know what I mean? I don't really ever see him coming to America, the original one. Of course, you have Eddie Murphy.
Oh, yes. I was actually thinking about that film earlier.
That's my point. At the start of the film, when he's in that fictional country in Africa, and that's his palace, and that's how he lives. I wasn't expecting the Queen to come out of like a bath with like that kind of bullshit, but that kind of opulence. But it wasn't like gold chairs and things like that. And no, it was just very regal. Very old, very, very old, and it had that very old smell. That kind of smell like that would never go away, no matter what you used. And that's not just Buckingham Palace, that's all of them, especially the castles. Yeah, they actually stunk, as you can imagine, the ancient. Not stunk, you get used to it. I mean, old smell. It was also reassuring because that's heritage, that's history.
What's it like to be around so much history that's literally ingrained in the air?
It was great. At that time, I didn't realise how much I loved it. But and ever since, I've always been, I love military history. I love our nation's history. England's history, not Britain's history, but England's history. Even though I know we've been a bunch of bad bastards in the past, but even now I'm quite proud of that, and I'm not even ashamed of that. I know that we were horrible, horrible, horrible bastards and the things that we've done to other nations. I think there are 197 countries we've invaded and conquered, 172 of them, and the only ones that we didn't invade and conquer were the ones that weren't worth having. But yeah, that's what we did. And I know that sounds really horrible, but yeah, I was quite proud of it.
The Pax Britannica was definitely a point in time where Britain had a very similar to America right now, I guess you could say, where America has a huge influence across the world. That's what Britain was, I believe, in the 1700s, 1800s, around that time. They had a huge influence on so many different countries and did so many things. It'd be like a whole conversation to get into about just
what I'm most proud of. Sorry to interrupt you there. What I'm most proud of is that we abolished slavery long before anyone else did. William Wilberforce. And I'm a firm believer, right? If you guys had stayed under our fucking realm, then you two would have abolished slavery in 1806, rather than much later on, and that civil war wouldn't have happened. Would not have happened, and all them people would not have died for absolute no reason. Even though you won that war, well fought, by the way, well fought. It was deserved. Very deserved. However, if you didn't, You wouldn't have all that.
That's certainly an outcome to be discussed. In your experience too of being a royal guardsman, how were your experiences like with the royal family in general? If you ever got to talk to them or interact with them?
It wasn't like a case of sat on the same dinner table. No, not at all. It's a case of we were there to protect them. We'd only talk to them if they spoke to us. We wouldn't just strike up a conversation. No. They'd come talk to you. I wasn't quite liked, actually. Didn't really like me. I don't know. Maybe it's because they thought I was a bit too northern or a bit too rough. You know what I mean? To be fair, like most times, I just going to sound really unprofessional, but most times when I was doing guard duties on the weekend, we'd been out beforehand and we were absolutely shit-faced. So we'd do a guard duty just hungover to death. Generally, everyone would be hungover. And, guard duties, the pain in the arse. We used to pay people 100 quid just to do the 2 days guard duty because we couldn't be arsed, man. Literally pay people to do our guard duty. Because it's all good and well, a novelty and that, but it's just the bullshit that goes with it, man. Even though I was very proud of what we did, it depends how much I drank on a Wednesday and a Thursday night. If I want to do the guard duty Friday and I've had 100 quid spare. So even though I was proud to be doing the job I was doing, it was still a job, Jez. You know what I mean? Where I work in a steel plant, and the geezers there, man, they're so morbid. Every time you sit around and talk, it's doom and gloom. It's the cost of living. It's this person's done that person's done this. Not only they're a bunch of bitches and boring, they're just very, very negative. And no, I just want to talk and just like, you know what I mean? Just have a nice little chat.
I definitely feel that energy coming from you. I feel like you give off like the energy of somebody who works often. And what you just described, like that doom and gloom whenever you go to work and people around you are so negative and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You seem like you're a positive person too. So I feel like it definitely weighs on you too. And you probably don't enjoy it. So I do feel like, during this conversation, you seem very almost excited or energetic to speak about something that's not, doom.
Yeah, I am actually. It's nice to have a conversation rather than, because I find that some people, especially nowadays, especially when you go to parties, people, the art of conversation is being forgotten about, because you'll see people do it all the time. They're talking, and then another person's not really listening. They're just waiting for their chance to talk. They're not really asking questions of what the person's. They're not conversing. They're just talking at each other. And you see it happen so many times, man. Or people on the phones, when I'll go for meals with my lass, and we don't get our phones out because we're talking, because I'm out with my lass. You see other people out with their lasses or partners, and they're both on the phone, all through the meal. And you think, what the hell? The world's gone crazy, man.
Yeah, and it's quite an experience too, because whenever you have a good conversation, it's actually the way I like to view it, particularly just in this conversations and other ones that I've recorded and uploaded in the past, is that if you approach a conversation appropriately and you actually put effort into it, it's like an exchanging of it's an exchange of the soul, really. If you really do it properly, you begin to learn so much more about not only yourself but about the world too. This could be taking place anywhere too, in the line at McDonald's or on the street, anywhere, if people actually were to approach it appropriately. But of course, you have different things, stressors in your life that might not want to make you focus. But like you said earlier, like, when you're at a party and whatnot, this is a social setting that you would expect to find this in, And it is difficult to come across. And I actually do agree with you. I feel like conversation should sometimes be treated like what it is. It's an art, I would say.
It is an art, the art of conversation, exactly that. And it's getting lost. It's like when people say chivalry is dead. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've heard that saying, but it's very big over here. And I don't think chivalry is dead. You keep chivalry alive. You know what I mean? Same as a conversation, man.
Yeah, I don't think that anything is necessarily particularly dying. But you know what I would say? I would say that at least hopefully to both of us, like I said before, it's an exchanging of the souls. I feel like this could be proof to both of us that this art of conversation, so to speak, still exists.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I mean? And you know what? Like we both in our own individual worlds can kind of keep it alive.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I've got you, because I do have friends that I've got two very good friends, ex-forces. One of them's ex-Grenadier Guard, and the other one is he never did the Guards or the British Army, but he was in the Legion with me. Both of them are highly intelligent, and we have nice, deep, meaningful conversations. But I've got other friends who just like, it just seems like, because I have a laugh and a joke, and the other pals I've known since I was 4 years old, they never seem to have a serious conversation. It's always just taking the piss out of each other and just banter. I mean, don't get us wrong, I love that. I love it. But when that's all you've got, you can't really sit there and just talk about things like that matter, you know what I mean, or matter for each other. Like, I don't know if you heard of it, I don't know what you'd call him, but have you heard of a man called Alan Watts? put me on to him.
Oh, Alan Watts. Yes, I've heard quite a bit of Alan Watts. I've heard quite a bit of Alan Watts, Terrence McKenna.
Yes.
That general group of
What do you think? What's your thoughts?
I think that
Genius is on it.
they we got to get back to the Queen, but I do want to talk about this. Okay, so I'm actually going to explain a little bit of it just for anybody who's listening. So Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, these are, I mean, really you can label them as sort of like almost philosophers in a sense, and they talk about the nature of reality and the nature of linguistics and what it actually means to be a human being that exists on this planet, that feels emotions, and what the intricacies of actually existing day to day are. Instead of living it, they like to talk about it. And they also talk a lot about psychedelics, just the nature of reality. I can't exactly put it into words because it's so complex, the details that they go through, that you kind of need to listen to it.
Things are just, it is complex, but do you not think they make it so easy to understand the way they explain it?
They do.
It's like universal. Sorry to interrupt you. It's like universal. So no matter your intelligence or whatnot, you can still like gauge into it. I find.
Yes. And the reason why I say complex, though, is the only reason why I say that is because they talk about things that, you know, as you just said, it's universal. It's things that we all experience, but you experience it and it's kind of easy to just forget about it or not dwell on it too long, because this universal experience of existing is so constant and it's so fluid and it just never ends. So much so that you just kind of begin to become numb to it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And they bring attention to what it's like to actually exist. But yes, I have heard of Alan Watts. I've heard of Terrence McKenna, that entire group, and I think they rose to prominence quite a bit in the 1990s, 1980s. They were talking a lot about these general subjects. So yes, I've heard about them. I've listened to some of their lectures. They are brilliant people. I would label them certainly as philosophers, I would say, just based off their talks, things that they talk about. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And
very motivational as well, I think. Do you not find? Or
I think they're motivational in the sense that, you know, they do talk a lot about free will. They talk a lot about how the universe has an algorithm, which is true. I think that
it's a universe, man. That's one of the things that got me, and that really resonated.
I think that humans are almost a little bit foolish to think that we've come up with algorithms, because if we exist and we can think of algorithms, there's absolutely no way the universe, which is so primordial and has existed since we don't even know when or how, but the universe definitely has an algorithm. It has traits to it, and there are ways to get things that you want from it, and they talk about it. And I think that some of the things that they talk about are absolutely brilliant, and they just talk about things that you experience and you just kind of become numb to. So yes, I have heard about them. They're phenomenal. And yeah,
opened my eyes a lot.
Quite a bit. And I think that philosophy in general, actually I was making a couple videos on this earlier today, I think that philosophy in general should be taught a lot more in schools.
Oh, hello. Philosophy, I think that it should be taught. However, do you not think everyone's a bit of a philosopher?
Exactly, I do. Because
everyone's a bit of a psychologist as well. Because people read people as soon as you say first 3 seconds you're reading someone, and that's psychology.
I do think that even the choice to not philosophize. I think I forget if it was Socrates or Aristotle that said this. It was somebody that I just quoted the other day, but I cannot remember the name right now. But even if you make the choice to not philosophize, in making that choice, you need a logical train of thought in order to make that choice, and that's what philosophy is. It's a logical train of thought that you can follow for years and years and months and months. And I'm just saying, or I was making the point the other day, that we should expand on this so much more in schools so that people can think rationally and make logical trains of thought so that we can become more enriched in this experience of living as a society in general.
I hear you. What I also think it should be, I also think that life skills should be taught. Should be a lesson called life skills. It's things like filling out tax returns, things like opening up bank accounts, things like job interviews. Things like life skills, how to deal with a breakup. You know what I mean? These should be taught at school to prepare people for like life, hence life skills. Because that doesn't happen. I mean, when I left school, I joined the army, so I didn't have to pay bills. And then when I left the army, I started on a relationship and got married. And again, I just gave her the money. I didn't pay bills. And then I went to France, joined the Legion, again, didn't pay bills. Came back to UK, I got married again, didn't pay bills. I just gave money. And then when it all went a bit wrong, I had to learn the hard way. In my late 30s, how to actually adult, like tax returns, all that, bills, gas meter readings, list goes on. And it took me a while to just get my head around all that. And that should be taught at school. That.
What I think that's absolutely phenomenal about what you just said too is the fact that we live in two separate countries and these problems are both
Is it the same
universal.
over there?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a general problem. And
I don't think it is in Japan now. Another place, in Germany, I don't think it is there.
oh no,
I'm spec-
Germany is ahead of the curve in every way, shape, and form. It's absolutely insane. Germany, throughout history, generally speaking, has been ahead of the curve in so many different ways, and of course in some very negative ways. But
Very
Germany is
true.
phenomenal.
Did you know what Hitler said, actually? He actually said this. He says, if he had all the German officers, but with British soldiers, he would take over the world within a year. Exact words. But he didn't have British soldiers. He had German soldiers. He actually said that, and even though from a monster to say that, that did instill me with a little bit of pride, you know. Yeah.
And speaking once again about British soldiers in general, so going back to you being a
Uh-huh.
guardsman,
Okay.
you know, we've all heard about the Queen. Of course, she passed away.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any interactions with her?
When I was a guardsman.
Well, you as a guardsman, if you ever had an experience with the Queen or spoke to
Oh
her.
yeah, I spotted a few times. Oh, sorry, she spotted me a few times. I responded a few times. Yeah.
What was your experience with her like? What was her energy?
No, this way. I'm not just saying this. She was, you know, she had like an air about her. You knew straight oozed royalty. You know what I mean? Just oozed it. If you can do that, but yeah, she oozed royalty. And she was just She wasn't so much smiley. If she smiled at you, then it was actually on purpose. She meant to smile at you, sort of thing. You know, it's just hard to like.
So she oozed royalty, kind of like in a almost like a
Oh, she was
cunty
tiny
way.
as well. Like, she was tiny as well. Absolutely tiny. I mean, I'm 6'5", so most people are smaller than you, but yeah, she was absolutely tiny. And like, even though she was small and frail, you could pick her up your left arm and throw about like an empty tracksuit. But you knew fine fact that you wouldn't do that because she just gave one of them looks. She just say, "Yeah, I fucking dare you." You know what I mean? Even though she was so frail, you could tell she had power. You know what I mean? She commanded. Well, obviously, she commanded all the armed forces for one. So yeah, she commanded the power. Even though that's not really, she wouldn't actually send. Well, as you know, she wouldn't. She didn't have no power to send any of us to war. That's obviously the government. But yeah,
Did
she
you
was a
ever
nice lady.
feel like scared or like?
At the first, the fears installed in you before the pride and the respect is, because like I say, we were young guardsmen. I did my first Samuel duty when I was 18. Actually, no, I was 18 and a half. I just came back from Northern Ireland. As soon as I turned 18, they sent me on an operational tour to Northern Ireland. I'm sure you've heard all about the British and islands, our little thing,
I have.
our little skirmish over the years. I say skirmish. I shouldn't say lightly about it because over 3,500 people have died due to the troubles. I don't care about the terrorists getting killed, but yeah, I'm not going to go into that. Yeah, so I did my first guard duty at 18 and a half, and training obviously, did all my training. So from there I went straight to operational tour. Did 6 months. Obviously, you don't touch your ceremonial kit there. It's all soldier, and then you get back, and then you've got to get measured up for your tunic. You got to do your boots. Obviously, boots are fine, and then you've got to come down for your first parade. And I come down in that lake, and me being the tallest in my platoon, I was right-hand man, so the most important man to take all the timings off. I wish I wasn't the tallest, because it was my first guard duty, and also I was hungover, because this is London, and I was 18. Imagine, it was the 90s. So yeah, we're getting off our fears. And I came downstairs, and the sergeants just started laughing at us, and I think, what are they laughing at? And I was like panicking anyway, so I'm like hugging in front of them and starts laughing. I don't think my best can unpack the front of them. And I didn't know. It looked the same to the front to the back. But obviously, I was still pissed. Yeah, that was a practice for the Queen's birthday period. We did 2 weeks practice non-stop, last like 10 hours every day, drill, marching. This is why when you actually see it on TV, it's all perfect because we spent 10 hours every day doing that for 2 weeks non-stop. And then for the actual day, yeah, it's perfect. We're the smartest carrots, and yeah, it's hard work, makes you fit, and you're not scared. We're not scared of the Queen. No one's scared of it. You're scared of your regimental sergeant major and what he can do to you. You're scared of your platoon sergeant, again, what he can do to you. You're scared of your company sergeant major and what he can do to you. The list goes on. You're scared of the corporals in your block and what they can do to you. That's who you're scared of. The Queen's not going to do nothing to you. But if you show yourself up, or if you've got any bit of smudge on your clothes, or a bit of idle thread, then you've shown up your regiment, you've shown up everyone else. And that's when things get messy.
It seems as though there was so much work and effort that was put into this. You were talking about being afraid, not really of the Queen, but more so of just your platoon sergeants and whatnot.
The repercussions.
What were some things that you were, trying to upkeep, or like for example, like if there was something wrong with your uniform, would you get in trouble? Or if you weren't
It's not just uniform. This is a bit of a this is quite a amusing anecdote. I think. You be the judge. I finished. So training altogether was 38 weeks. You have your basic training, which was in Purbeck, which is down south, quite next to London actually. And then you got phase 2, which is your infantry training, which is your guardsman training. You do that in Catterick, which is all infantry base, which is in the north of England. Obviously, because it's colder, it's got more terrain. So that's where you do your training. But when I finished basic training, on the morning, I'd lost my key for my padlock, for my locker. So I couldn't open my padlock. So in like a proper fit, because I needed my kit, because I was passing out that morning. My family was coming down to see us pass out. You know, this is who finished training to go into phase 2. So it was a big deal. And I couldn't get in my locker. So I panicked. And what I did was I just basically tore my locker in half just to get my stuff out. And so I just wasn't too happy with that. And actually, when I passed out, my family's all there. Everyone else gets marched off. The sergeant comes over to me. He whispers to me, yeah, he goes, right, I've got you now. He says, march the time I'll call out. I think, what's happening here? And he marched us all the way around the drill square, right? F-tight, about turn, F-tight, all the way to the guard room. So I was in the guard room for like an hour. Stress positions, like, you know what stress positions are, aren't you? And my family's waiting to see us. But this sergeant, mate, he hated me. He called us a Geordie Pikey, which is like a traveller, which is like a gypsy, essentially, even though I'm not. But he called us that. Yeah, so he jailed us for an hour for me wrecking my locker. So I forgot, I lost my key. And I think I found my key later on anyway, but I had a sheer panic in the morning. So yeah, that was quite amusing. And I don't think that's ever happened before. Yeah, literally getting marched off from the parade, where all the family waiting, and I get marched off and dragged around and sent to the guard room. It was very surreal, very surreal. It was his last, because he knew he was going to see us again, even though he was the same regiment. And you know this, I never bumped into him again, thank God. Because I don't think that would have boded well for him. Because, yeah, I had a lot of bad blood. He was a bully. He was a bully.
And so
he came across the table when my family were there. He started basically bad-mouthing us. Not like massively, just like bad-mouthing us. And one of my cousins, John, he turned around and he says, have you got anything nice to say about him? And Sergeant Wright turned around and he goes, well, he's tall. Yeah, that's all you could say nice about it. He's tall, which is a fact. It's not nice, but yeah. In fact, picture me, guardsman. So it's nice to be tall, isn't it?
So overall, it seems as though you've had a pretty interesting life, I would say. You know, you talked a little bit about your childhood, your brothers, your parents. You talked a lot about getting into the Army in the first place, what it was like being a guard, and your experience right now with working and stuff. You talked about a lot. You talked quite a bit about.
I've just scratched the surface as well, you know. But yeah, I hear you.
So, you seem as though you've had a pretty interesting life so far, and you seem pretty jovial and energetic as it is right now. So I think my question to you is right now is, if you would have any advice for anybody who's listening on how to approach life in general, what would you say?
Don't take it too seriously, for one. Don't take it as a joke either. Make sure that you do the things important in a serious manner, if that makes sense. And just enjoy it, man. Just enjoy it. The world's a horrible, horrible place. It's full of evil, but also it's full of good. Just surround yourself with the good. And that's easy to do by finding good people. If someone's not a good person, you'll pick up on that. Don't give them too many chances, because they'll just keep on being that person. Just move on. And enjoy yourself, man. That's my best advice.